Empress Thalia Varangian stared out from her hovering crystalline chair, her amber eyes the only part of her that could still move freely. The neural toxin had left her body a prison 3 months ago, a failed assassination that succeeded in paralyzing her from the neck down, but failed to claim her life or her crown. "Adjust my view, Damien," she commanded, her voice still carrying the imperial authority that kept her enemies at bay. The human servant moved silently to her side, his tall frame casting a shadow across the polished obsidian floor. Unlike the blue-skinned Asterian nobles who populated her court, Damien's olive complexion and dark eyes marked him as an outsider, a captured soldier from the human territories beyond the crystalline barrier. "As you wish, your radiance," he replied, his fingers gentle as they tilted her chair toward the window overlooking the capital city of Astralis. The spires of living crystal caught the light of 3 moons, fracturing it into rainbows across her chambers. Thalia studied his reflection in the window. Among her kind, humans were considered little more than clever animals, useful for labor and occasionally war. Yet something about Damien had always seemed different. He moved with a quiet dignity that belied his station, and his eyes held secrets she couldn't decipher. "The council believes I should not attend the solstice market tomorrow," she said suddenly. "They think my condition makes me appear weak." Damien remained expressionless, but she caught the subtle tightening of his jaw. "The council fears what they do not understand, your radiance." "And what do they not understand, slave?" she challenged, testing him. "That true power lies in the mind, not the limbs," he answered without hesitation. "And yours remains formidable." A rare smile crossed her lips. "Tomorrow you will accompany me to the Grand Bazaar, not as a guard, but as my voice and hands." Confusion flickered across his features. "Your radiance, there are protocols, noble attendants who should." "Who should what? Speak for me while plotting behind my back?" Thalia's eyes flashed. "The assassination attempt may have paralyzed my body, but it opened my eyes. I trust no one in this court." "And you trust me?" Damien asked, genuine surprise breaking through his careful composure. "You have had 100 opportunities to harm me since this happened," she gestured with her eyes toward her immobile body. "Instead, you have shown nothing but competence and discretion." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of shattering glass from the adjoining chamber. In an instant, Damien moved to shield her, his body tense as a shadow darted across the floor toward them. "Empress," a voice hissed from the darkness. Before the assassin could fully emerge, Damien had already pushed her chair behind a column and grabbed a ceremonial scepter from its stand. The intruder lunged forward with a blade glinting with the same neural toxin that had claimed her mobility. With surprising skill, Damien deflected the strike and drove the heavy end of the scepter into the assassin's temple. The attacker collapsed, and palace guards finally burst through the door, far too late to have been useful. "Your radiance, are you harmed?" the captain asked, pointedly ignoring Damien. "Thanks only to my servant's quick actions," Thalia replied coldly. "Perhaps if my royal guards moved with such efficiency, I might still be able to walk." Later, as Damien prepared her chambers for night, Thalia watched him with new consideration. "Tomorrow at the market," she said softly, "many will see me as diminished. They will mock me behind their hands or, worse, offer pity." Damien paused his work. "Then they are fools who see only with their eyes, not their minds." "So it seems I have chosen wisely," Thalia replied. For the first time since the attack, something stirred within her besides anger and calculation, something dangerous and unexpected. "You shall be more than hands and voice tomorrow, Damien. You shall be my strength." The Grand Bazaar of Astralis pulsed with life as Empress Thalia's procession arrived. Her crystalline hover chair glimmered in the morning light, drawing all eyes despite the reduced ceremonial guard, her deliberate choice to appear among her people with minimal barriers. Damien walked at her side, dressed in attire that marked him as her personal attendant rather than a common slave. The deep blue fabric with silver threading, matching her own royal garments, sparked immediate whispers among the gathering crowd. "Look how far the radiant throne has fallen," came a murmur just loud enough to be heard, "relying on a human to be her limbs." Thalia's jaw tightened imperceptibly, but her eyes remained forward, regal and cold. "The eastern quarter first," she instructed Damien. "I wish to see the silk merchants." As they moved through the marketplace, the stark division in how they were received became apparent. Common citizens bowed with genuine respect, many offering blessings for her recovery. The nobility and merchant princes, however, barely disguised their calculating assessments of her vulnerability. At the silk merchant's stall, an elderly Asterian woman with faded blue skin bowed deeply. "Your radiance honors my humble wares." "The Empress wishes to examine your celestial silk," Damien stated, his voice carrying unexpected authority. The merchant hesitated, eyes darting between them. "Of course, though perhaps her radiance would prefer to send a proper court official to handle such delicate negotiations." "I am quite capable of negotiating through my appointed voice," Thalia replied sharply, "unless you find my choice objectionable." The tension was broken by the merchant's quiet laugh. "Not at all, your radiance. My son married a human from the Eastern Territories. They see things we often miss." She gestured to Damien. "Please examine the silks." As Damien selected fabrics based on subtle signals from Thalia's eyes, they developed a rhythm that surprised them both, an unspoken communication that required no words. Their connection was noticed by Lord Veratin, who approached with a sycophantic smile. "Your radiance, what a brave appearance you make today." "Lord Veratin," Thalia acknowledged coolly. "I trust your sudden interest in the marketplace isn't solely because of my presence." The nobleman's smile tightened. "I always take interest in the Empire's vulnerabilities." His gaze flicked dismissively to Damien. "Though I question the wisdom of entrusting imperial dignity to a creature who should be mining crystals in the outer territories." Before Thalia could respond, Damien spoke, his tone measured but firm. "Her radiance values competence above birthright, my lord, a perspective that has preserved the Empire for 10 generations." Veratin's face darkened with rage. "You dare speak to me, slave?" "He speaks with my authority," Thalia interjected. "Challenge him and you challenge your Empress." After Veratin departed, they navigated to a secluded corner of the bazaar. For the first time, Thalia's composure faltered. "I've spent my life being feared, Damien. Now they think they can whisper insults to my face." "They fear you still," he replied softly, "more so because they cannot read you as before." His fingers adjusted her chair's position, brushing against her shoulder. Though she couldn't feel his touch physically, something electric passed between them, a boundary crossed. "You've never asked me," she said suddenly, "about my life before. It wasn't my place. And now—" His eyes met hers. "Now I find myself wondering who you are beneath the crown." As the day progressed, their exchanges grew more personal, more dangerous. When he fed her from a selection of rare fruits, his fingers near her lips, the act felt intimate in ways that transcended her physical limitations. By sunset, when they prepared to return to the palace, something fundamental had shifted. The whispers had evolved from mockery to speculation about the nature of their relationship, equally scandalous to the court, but for entirely different reasons. "Tomorrow," she told him as they departed, "we return. There is more I wish to accomplish here." What remained unspoken was the truth they both recognized. It wasn't the marketplace that drew her back, but these precious hours away from the suffocating court, where she could simply be Thalia, and he could be more than just a slave. Rain fell in silver sheets over the Grand Bazaar on their second day, clearing the normally crowded pathways and creating unexpected privacy. Under a canopy of iridescent fabric, Empress Thalia observed the nearly empty marketplace with satisfaction. "Perfect," she murmured. "Now we can speak freely." Damien positioned her chair beneath the shelter, then knelt beside her. "About yesterday's conversation, your radiance." "When we are alone, call me Thalia," she interrupted. "I tire of titles." He hesitated, the request clearly unsettling him. "That would be inappropriate." "Inappropriate," she repeated with a bitter smile. "Like a paralyzed empress, like a human serving as imperial voice." Rain drummed against the canopy as they held each other's gaze. Finally, he whispered, "Thalia," testing the forbidden syllables. She closed her eyes briefly. Again. "Thalia," he said, more confidently this time. "We're being watched." Her eyes snapped open, following his subtle indication toward a shadowed archway where 2 figures observed them. "The tall one is Lord Crasvin's personal assassin," she noted. "The council grows bolder." "Not just the council," Damien replied, pretending to adjust her chair while scanning their surroundings. 3 different factions have been tracking our movements. The revolutionaries see you as a symbol to topple. The traditionalists want you replaced with someone they can control. And the third group. What about them? They're watching me, not you. His voice dropped lower. A human with daily access to the Empress is valuable to many interests. Understanding dawned on her face. They've approached you. He nodded once. Last night, freedom, wealth, passage back to human territories. The pain that flashed across her features had nothing to do with her physical condition. And what did you tell them? That I already have what they cannot give me. And what is that? She asked, hardly breathing. Before he could answer, a merchant approached, bowing deeply. Your Radiance, forgive my intrusion. I have something that might interest you, a remedy from the human territories said to heal nerve damage. Damien tensed. The Empress doesn't. Show me, Thalia commanded, her eyes sharp. The merchant produced a vial of shimmering liquid. From beyond the crystal barrier, rare and quite expensive. You waste the Empress's time, Damien said. That's colored water and crystal dust. The merchant's friendly demeanor vanished. You should control your pet, your Radiance, before someone decides to put him down. In that instant, Damien noticed the merchant's hand moving toward a hidden weapon. Without hesitation, he swept Thalia's chair backward while simultaneously launching himself forward, tackling the assassin disguised as a merchant. Guards rushed toward them, but not before Damien had subdued the attacker. As they dragged the would-be assassin away, he returned to Thalia's side, blood trickling from a cut on his cheek. "Are you hurt?" she demanded, the fear in her voice revealing deeper feelings than imperial concern. "I've endured worse," he replied, wiping blood from his face. When they returned to her private chambers, the atmosphere between them was charged with unspoken emotion. As he tended to her evening needs, adjusting her position, helping her drink, she finally asked the question that haunted her. Why did you not take their offer of freedom? Damien knelt before her, his hands resting lightly on the arms of her chair. Because freedom without honor is just another kind of prison. Is that all? She pressed. His eyes met hers. No. Later that night, as he prepared to retire to his adjacent chamber, she called him back. The assassins will try again. Stay. He hesitated at the threshold. If I stay tonight, Thalia, everything changes. Perhaps, she whispered, everything already has. The atmosphere in the Empress's chambers was hushed as midnight approached. Outside, twin moons cast blue-silver light through the crystal windows, painting patterns across the floor where Damien had arranged sleeping cushions for himself. This isn't necessary, Thalia said from her bed, where he had carefully positioned her for the night. There's room enough here. Damien remained by the window, the moonlight silhouetting his form. The palace has eyes and ears everywhere. Some boundaries shouldn't be crossed, even in private. And yet you called me Thalia, she reminded him softly. He turned to face her. Some boundaries were meant to be crossed. Their evening together had transformed their relationship in ways neither had anticipated. For the first time, he had helped her bathe, an intimate task usually performed by automated mechanisms and medical attendants. The vulnerability she showed him, her frustration at dependence, her quiet determination, had stripped away the final vestiges of distance between them. Tell me about your home, she requested suddenly. Your real home before you were brought here. Damien's expression softened with memory. We lived among forests, not crystal spires. My father was a diplomat who tried to negotiate peace with your people. And we took you prisoner instead, she finished. That's why you understand court politics so well. I was raised to observe, to understand power. His smile was bittersweet. I never expected to use those skills as a slave. You're not a slave, she corrected him. Not anymore. What am I then? He challenged gently. Thalia's eyes held his. Come here and perhaps you'll understand. When he approached, she directed him to sit beside her. My condition, she began hesitantly, has made many assume I no longer desire human contact. And do you? He asked, his voice barely audible. I feel nothing below my neck but my mind, she paused. My mind feels everything more intensely now, every word, every glance. With deliberate slowness, he raised his hand to her face, his fingertips tracing her jawline. Though the blue tint of her skin marked her as different from his kind, the warmth beneath his touch was the same. The court would call this treason, he whispered. Then let me be guilty, she replied. I've been imprisoned in duty since birth and now in my own body. Let me choose this one freedom. When his lips met hers, the kiss was tentative at first, then deepened with shared hunger. Though she couldn't embrace him, her response was evident in her breathing, in the intensity of her gaze when they parted. I can feel nothing and everything, she confessed. It's maddening. Throughout the night, they discovered a new language of intimacy, one that transcended physical limitations. He read poetry to her from ancient texts, told her stories of his homeland, and listened as she shared fears she had never voiced to another soul. By dawn, when they finally slept, he on the cushions beside her bed, their hands still connected, something irrevocable had happened between them. The morning brought reality crashing back when her first minister arrived unannounced. Your Radiance, the minister began, eyes widening at finding Damien so close to the Empress. The council demands your presence. There are rumors, concerns about your judgment. Thalia's expression hardened into imperial mask once more. Inform the council I will address them at midday, and tell them to prepare the ceremonial chamber and the imperial sigils. After the minister departed, Damien looked at her questioningly. Today everything changes, she declared, for both of us. The great ceremonial hall hummed with tension as members of the Imperial Council and noble houses gathered. Rumors had spread like wildfire through the palace. The Empress had taken a human to her bed. She was abdicating. She had lost her mind along with the use of her limbs. Damien stood behind Thalia's hover chair, positioned at the base of the crystal dais rather than upon it, a deliberate statement. For this moment, she had chosen to appear among her people rather than above them. Your Radiance, Lord Crasvin began, his tone barely concealing contempt. The council expresses concern about recent, unconventional choices. Such as, Thalia's voice carried throughout the hall. Appearing in public in your condition, entrusting imperial authority to a slave, spending nights unchaperoned. Careful, Lord Crasvin, she cut him off. You approach treason. The hall fell silent as Thalia's hover chair moved forward. I have called you here not to defend my actions, but to witness them. She nodded to Damien, who approached the ancient crystal pedestal where the imperial sigils, symbols of authority and noble houses, were displayed. Following her instructions from earlier, he removed the smallest sigil, a crescent of living crystal that pulsed with inner light. Gasps echoed through the hall. The voice sigil had not been bestowed in 3 generations. Empress, you cannot, Lord Veretin began. I am still Empress, Thalia reminded him coldly. I can do as I see fit. She turned to address the assembled crowd. When I was attacked, you saw weakness. When I was paralyzed, you plotted against me. You forgot that an Empress rules with her mind and her will, not her limbs. Her gaze swept the room. Only one person saw my strength rather than my limitations. Only one person has shown unwavering loyalty, not out of fear or ambition, but out of genuine service. Damien knelt before her as she had instructed. Damien of the Eastern Forests, she pronounced formally. I name you voice of the Empress, guardian of the imperial will, and Lord Protector of the crystalline throne. The sigil floated from its pedestal to hover before him. This grants you freedom, noble status, and authority to speak with my voice, she continued. It also marks you as mine, under my protection and in my service by choice, not compulsion. Stunned silence gripped the hall as Damien accepted the sigil, which melded into a circlet upon his brow. Your Radiance, he said, his voice carrying new authority. I accept this honor and pledge my life to your service and the Empire's prosperity. Lord Crasvin stepped forward, face contorted with rage. This human will never be accepted among the noble houses. This desecrates 1,000 years of tradition. Traditions change, Thalia replied calmly, as must this empire if it is to survive. As they departed the hall amid furious whispers, Damien leaned close to her. You've made us both targets. We already were, she reminded him. Now at least you have protection. Later, in the privacy of her chambers, he removed the circlet and knelt beside her chair. Why did you really do this, Thalia? Her eyes softened. You carried me when I could not stand. You spoke when others would silence me. You saw me when others looked away. Her voice grew quiet. You loved me when I thought myself unlovable. And now, he asked, Now we build something new, she replied. Something neither human nor Asterian has dared imagine. Outside, the three moons aligned in a rare celestial event, bathing the crystal city in multicolored light. Within palace walls, traditionalists already plotted their response to the day's heresy. Beyond the city, word spread of an empress who had broken chains and elevated a human to nobility. But in that moment, in the quiet of her chambers, they were simply Thalia and Damien, no longer sovereign and slave, but partners in an uncertain future they would face together. "You know what this means?" she whispered as he kissed her palm. "Yes," he replied, "revolution." She smiled, of more kinds than one.